I never thought the scent of lavender and cedar would become the smell of betrayal in my own home. It was one of those quiet Tuesday evenings, the kind where the sun dips low and paints the kitchen gold through the lace curtains my mother sewed before she passed. I stood at the counter, chopping onions for the biryani Amir loved, the knife moving in that steady rhythm I'd fallen into after 22 years of marriage. The children were upstairs, our daughter Aisha cramming for her medical entrance exam, our son Bilal tinkering with his drone in the garage. Sofia, our nanny, hummed an old Punjabi lullaby while folding laundry in the corner, her hands quick and gentle as always. Everything felt normal, safe. But then Amir walked in, and the air shifted. He kissed my cheek like he always did. But his lips lingered a second too long, as if he were performing for an audience only he could see. "Missed you today," he murmured, his voice that deep baritone that used to make my knees weak when we were courting in Lahore all those years ago. I smiled, wiped my hands on my apron, and turned back to the stove. The onions sizzled, releasing their sharp sweetness. Into the air, that was the night I first noticed the cologne. Amir had worn the same one since our honeymoon, a subtle mix of sandalwood and spice from a little shop in Dubai. But this was different, sharper, more expensive. It clung to his shirt when he hugged me, mixing with the faint trace of something floral underneath. Jasmine, maybe? I remember pausing, my spoon hovering over the pot, a strange tightness blooming in my chest. "New perfume?" I asked slightly, trying to keep my tone playful. He chuckled, loosening his tie. "Client gift. Some fancy brands. Thought I'd try it out." His eyes didn't quite meet mine as he said it. Just a flicker. Gone so fast I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. Life before that moment had been a comfortable routine, woven together with the threads of family and faith. Amir and I met at university, me studying literature, him engineering. He was the serious one, always with his nose in books, but he'd light up when I recited poetry in the courtyard. We married young, against my father's initial reservations, and built this life brick by brick. Our home in the quiet suburbs of Karachi was modest, but ours, a 2-story house with a mango tree in the backyard that shaded the swing where the kids played as toddlers. Morning started with the call to prayer filtering through the windows. I'd wake first, slip into the kitchen to brew chai the way Amir liked it, strong with cardamom and a hint of ginger. He'd come down in his pressed shirt, kiss my forehead, and we'd sit at the table discussing the day ahead. He ran a construction firm now, successful enough that we didn't worry about bills, but not so much that he forgot where he came from. "We're blessed," he'd say often, squeezing my hand. The children were our world. Aisha, 19 now, with my dark eyes and her father's determination. She dreamed of being a doctor, spent hours poring over textbooks, her brow furrowed in concentration. Bilal, 16, was the dreamer, always building something, his room a chaos of wires and gadgets. And then there was Sofia. We'd hired her 5 years ago when Aisha started school full-time, and I went back to teaching part-time at the local college. Sofia was 28, from a village up north, with a soft voice and a way with the kids that made them adore her. She wasn't just helping. She was family. She'd cook with me, sharing recipes from her mother's kitchen, and in the evenings, she'd braid Aisha's hair while telling stories of mountain festivals. Auntie G, she'd call me, her smile warm as fresh roti. Amir treated her kindly too. Always polite, leaving extra for Eid bonuses. Weekends were for family. Picnics at the beach where the waves crashed and the kids built sandcastles while Amir and I walked hand in hand, talking about nothing and everything. Or quiet dinners where laughter filled the rooms, the clink of spoons against plates, the scent of biryani mingling with incense from the prayer corner. Amir would tease Bilal about his latest invention failing spectacularly, and Aisha would roll her eyes but smile. Those moments? They were the glue. But looking back, there were cracks I ignored. Amir works late more often, his phone buzzing at odd hours with urgent client calls. He'd wave it off, kiss me goodnight, and I'd push the unease down. Marriage isn't perfect, I'd tell myself. We've been through worse, losing my mother, the financial strain when his business dipped. We always came out stronger. That cologne lingered in my mind, though. The next morning, as I folded his laundry, I caught it again on his collar. Stronger this time? And was that lipstick? A faint smudge barely there, but my heart stuttered. I held the shirt up to the light, my fingers trembling slightly. No, just a stain from dinner, I reasoned. Amir was faithful. He had to be. Days blurred into weeks. The routine held, but suspicion crept in like fog off the Arabian Sea. Amir's smiles seemed forced, his touches quicker. He'd come home, shower immediately, claiming dust from the sights. "You know how it is, John," he'd say, using that old endearment. I'd nod, serve dinner, watch him eat with enthusiasm that didn't reach his eyes. Sofia noticed too, I think. One afternoon, as we prepared iftar during Ramadan, she glanced at me while stirring the sheer kurma. "Baji, is everything okay with Sahib?" Her voice was soft, concerned. I forced a laugh. "Just work stress. He'll be fine." But her eyes held mine a beat too long. The children remained oblivious. Aisha said a mock exam, and we celebrated with her favorite halim. Bilal's drone finally flew, buzzing around the backyard like a triumphant bee. Amir clapped him on the back, pride genuine in that moment. "See," I told myself. "He's here. He's ours, yet the clues piled up subtly." A new tie I didn't recognize. Whispers on the phone in the study, door closed. Once I knocked and he opened it quickly, face flushed. "Just business," he said, but his hand gripped the doorframe a little too tight. I tried to ignore it all, burying myself in lesson plans and household chores. The smell of jasmine haunted me now, mixing with his new cologne in the laundry basket. At night, I'd lie awake beside him, listening to his steady breathing, wondering if I was losing my mind. Then came the evening that changed everything. The evening that changed everything started with a receipt. I was tidying Amir's study, something I rarely did because he liked his papers in their own kind of order, when my hand brushed a crumpled slip of paper at the bottom of his briefcase. A hotel receipt? The Grand Regency downtown. Date 3 nights ago. Room charge for 2. My fingers went cold, the paper trembling between them like a leaf in the wind. The timestamp was 7:14 p.m., the same night he'd told me he was stuck at a site inspection until midnight. I sat down hard on his leather chair, the one that creaked under his weight every evening when he reviewed blueprints. The room smelled of his old sandalwood cologne, faint now, overpowered by the new one that clung to everything. My pulse thudded in my ears, louder than the distant call to Maghrib prayer drifting in from the mosque down the street. I told myself there had to be an explanation. A client's dinner. A mistake. But the room charge was for 2 people, and the minibar had been raided. 2 bottles of sparkling water, a chocolate bar. Things Amir never touched because of his sugar levels. I folded the receipt into a tiny square and slipped it into my pocket, my palms damp. That night, I watched him over the dinner table. The children chattered. Aisha about her upcoming practicals, Bilal about a school science fair. Amir laughed in all the right places, but his eyes kept drifting to his phone, screen face down beside his plate. When it buzzed, he silenced it without looking, but I saw the quick tightening of his jaw. After the kids went upstairs, I cleared the dishes slowly, the clink of plates loud in the silence. Sofia helped, her movements quiet as always. "Baji, you look tired," she said softly, drying a glass. "Let me finish." I wanted to tell her everything, to spill the poison building inside me, but I only nodded. "Just a headache. I'll manage." Amir was in the living room, scrolling through his tablet. I stood in the doorway, the receipt burning a hole in my pocket. "Amir," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Can we talk?" He looked up, eyebrows raised. "Of course, John. What is it?" I pulled out the receipt and placed it on the coffee table between us. The paper looked small and harmless under the warm lamplight. "Explain this." His face didn't change at first. Then slowly, like a mask slipping, his eyes widened. He picked it up, scanned it, and let out a short laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Site visit. The client insisted on putting us up. You know how these big contractors are, everything on their dime. 2 people?" My voice was calm, but inside I was unraveling. He shrugged, leaning back. "Shared with Rahman. He was there too. You can call him Rahman, his oldest friend from university." I almost believed him. Almost. But Rahman had been in Dubai for the past month. Amir had complained about it just last week. I didn't call Rahman. Instead, I waited until he was asleep, his breathing deep and even, and I took his phone. The passcode was still our wedding date. I'd teased him for years about how sentimental he was. My hands shook as I opened his messages. There she was, Zara, a name I didn't know. Heart emojis. A photo of a woman's hand wearing a ring I didn't recognize, resting on a hotel bedsheet. "Can't wait for next week, baby." Sent 3 nights ago. 11:47 p.m. I sat on the bathroom floor, the cold tiles biting into my legs, and read every message. Months of them, plans, lies, tell her you're at the gym. I miss your smell. She'll never know. My tears fell silently, soaking the collar of my nightgown. I wanted to scream, to shake him awake, to demand why. But I didn't. Not yet. The next morning, I moved like a ghost. Made chai, packed lunches, kissed the children goodbye. Sofia asked again if I was okay. I smiled too brightly. I just didn't sleep well. Amir left for work with his usual kiss on my cheek, the new cologne sharp in my nostrils. I stood at the door long after his car disappeared, the receipt still in my pocket like a bullet. I didn't confront him. Not then. Instead, I started watching. I noticed how he showered the moment he came home, scrubbing himself raw. How his laundry went straight into the machine, no longer left for Sofia to handle. How he'd check his reflection in the hallway mirror, smoothing his hair with a vanity I'd never seen before. One afternoon, I followed him. He'd said he had a meeting in Clifton. I told Sofia I was visiting a friend and drove behind him in the old Corolla, keeping 2 cars between us. He didn't go to Clifton. He went to a cafe in Defense, one with tinted windows and valet parking. I watched from across the street as he greeted a woman, tall, elegant, younger than me. She wore red lipstick and a laugh that carried even through the glass. He kissed her cheek, his hand lingering on her waist. I drove home with tears blurring the road, the radio silent. When I walked in, Sofia was ironing Aisha's school uniform. She looked up, concerned in her eyes. "Baji, your face." "I'm fine," I lied. "Just traffic." That night, I lay beside Amir, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow circles. He reached for me in the dark, his hand warm on my hip. I let him, but my body was stiff, my mind miles away. He fell asleep quickly. I didn't. The idea came to me then, quiet and sharp. Revenge. Not loud. Not violent, just enough. I remembered the itching powder Bilal had bought for a school prank last year, still unopened in his drawer. "Harmless," he'd said. "Just makes you scratch for a day." I scolded him then. Now I slipped out of bed and found it in the dark. The next morning, while Amir showered, I opened his cologne bottle, the fancy one, the one that smelled like her. I poured half into the sink, my hand steady. Then I mixed in the powder, shaking gently until it dissolved. The scent barely changed. I capped it, placed it back on his dresser, and went to make breakfast. He used it that evening before leaving for dinner with clients. I watched him spray it on his neck, 2 pumps, like always. "Smells good, doesn't it?" he said, smiling at me in the mirror. "Perfect," I replied. He came home at 2:14 a.m. I know because I was sitting in the dark living room, the grandfather clock ticking like a heartbeat. The front door creaked open, then shut softly. His footsteps were uneven, shoes kicked off in the hallway. I heard the rustle of his jacket, the jangle of keys. Then the scratching began. At first it was subtle, a quick rub at his collarbone, a shift of shoulders. Then louder, a low grunt. The hallway light flicked on. I stayed still, my hands folded in my lap, the shadows hiding me. "Damn mosquitoes," he muttered, scratching harder now, nails raking down his neck. He disappeared into the bathroom. Water ran. A cabinet slammed. More scratching. I closed my eyes and breathed through my nose, slow and steady. By morning, he looked like he'd lost a fight with a thorn bush. Red welts bloomed across his throat, disappearing under his shirt collar. He stood in the kitchen, coffee untouched, clawing at his chest through the fabric. "I don't know what's wrong," he said, voice hoarse. "Must be an allergy." "New detergent?" Sofia was pouring milk for the kids. She glanced up, eyes widening. "Sahib, your skin, it looks painful." He waved her off, but I saw the way he flinched when his sleeve brushed his wrist. "I'll be fine." "I just need to change shirts." I buttered toast, my movements calm. "Maybe you should see a doctor." He didn't. He went to work, scratching all the way to the car. The children noticed at breakfast. Bilal wrinkled his nose. "Baba, why do you keep doing that?" "Rash," Amir snapped, then softened. "Nothing to worry about, Beta." Aisha looked at me, worried. I smiled and passed the jam. That evening he came home early. Shirt half unbuttoned, tie askew, face flushed and blotchy. He stormed past me into the bedroom, slamming the door. I heard drawers opening, the rustle of fabric. Then silence. Sofia was in the laundry room when I found her. She looked up, startled. Baji Sahib's clothes. They're covered in scratches. Like he's been tearing at them. I nodded, folding a towel. Poor thing. Must be suffering. But then it started. The next morning, Amir stood in the kitchen, eyes bloodshot, holding his favorite navy blazer. Who touched my things? His voice was low, dangerous. The children froze mid-bite. Sofia stood at the sink, hands still in soapy water. I turned slowly. What do you mean? This. He held up the blazer. The lining was shredded in places, as if clawed from the inside. And my cologne. Someone tampered with it. Sofia's hands still. Sahib, I only wash and iron. You're the only one who handles my clothes, he shouted. The words cracked through the room like a whip. Bilal dropped his spoon. Aisha's eyes filled. I stepped forward. Amir, calm down. She's been with us for 5 years, but he wasn't listening. He was unraveling, the itching, the guilt, the lies all boiling over. I wake up scratching like a dog, my skin on fire, and now this? You think I'm stupid? Sofia's face crumpled. I swear, Sahib, I would never— Get out, he said, quietly, terribly. Pack your things. I want you gone by evening. The room went still. Even the clock seemed to stop. I found my voice. Amir, you can't— I can, he cut in. And I am, Sofia didn't cry. Not in front of us. She nodded once, wiped her hands on her apron, and walked upstairs. I heard her door close softly. The children looked at me, lost. I wanted to scream, to tell them everything, but I couldn't. Not yet. That afternoon, I sat on the back steps, watching the mango tree sway in the breeze. Sofia came out with a small suitcase. Her eyes were red, but her chin was high. Baji, she said, voice trembling only slightly. Thank you. For everything, I stood. This isn't right. He's wrong, she shook her head. I know how it looks. I'll go to my cousin's, I'll be okay. I reached for her hand. Take this. I pressed an envelope into her palm. Money I'd saved from tutoring, enough for a month. I'm sorry. She hugged me then, quick and fierce. You're a good woman, Baji. Allah will see. She left through the side gate. I watched her walk down the street, suitcase bumping against her leg, until she turned the corner. Amir didn't come out of his study all evening. The children ate in silence. I tucked them in early, kissing their foreheads, promising tomorrow would be better, but it wasn't. Word spreads fast in our circle. By the next morning, the aunties were calling. We heard your nanny was stealing. Such a shame, you trusted her. Amir had told his version at the mosque, at the office, everywhere. Sofia was a thief, a saboteur, dangerous. I listened to the whispers, my stomach twisting. The prank had worked, too well. But the wrong person was burning. That night, Amir scratched less. The powder was fading, but the damage was done. He sat at the dinner table, sullen, picking at his food. The children barely spoke. The house felt hollow without Sofia's humming. I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until the kids were asleep. Then I went to study. Amir was at his desk, head in his hands. The welts were scabbing now, angry and raw. We need to talk, I said. He looked up, exhausted. Not now, John. I've had a hell of a week. I closed the door. No, now, I laid it all out. The receipt. The messages. The woman in the cafe, Zara. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just spoke, calm and clear, like reading a verdict. His face was drained of color. The scratching started again, unconsciously, nails digging into his forearm. I didn't— He started. You did, I said. And then you blamed an innocent woman. You destroyed her reputation to save your own. He opened his mouth, closed it. For the first time in weeks, he looked small. I pulled the cologne bottle from my pocket, the one I'd tampered with, and set it on the desk. This wasn't detergent. This was me. I wanted you to feel something. Just a fraction of what I've been feeling. His eyes widened. Yes, I leaned in. But I never meant for Sofia to pay for it. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Outside, a dog barked. The clock ticked. Finally, he whispered, "What do we do now?" The truth hung in the air like smoke after a fire, impossible to wave away. Amir sat back in his chair, the leather creaking under him, his fingers finally still. No more scratching? Just defeat in his eyes, the kind I'd never seen in 22 years. Not even when his father died. Not even when the business nearly folded. I'm sorry, he said at last. The words were small, cracked. I don't know what else to say. I didn't respond right away. I walked to the window and looked out at the mango tree, its leaves silver in the moonlight. Somewhere down the street, a motorcycle revved and faded. I thought of Sofia walking away with her suitcase, of the aunties already sharpening their tongues, of my children sleeping upstairs, confused and hurting. "You don't get to be sorry yet," I said quietly. "You get to fix it," he nodded slowly. "How?" "Call her. Apologize. Tell everyone the truth. Start with Rahman, since you used his name. Then the mosque. Then whoever else you poisoned with your lies." He swallowed hard. "And us?" I turned to face him. "There is no us until this is made right. You broke something, Amir, not just my trust, a family, a home." He didn't argue. The next morning, I woke early. The house was too quiet without Sofia's footsteps padding down the hall, without the soft clatter of her setting the breakfast table. I made chai alone, the steam curling up like a question. Aisha came down first, hair tousled, eyes puffy. "Mama, why did Baba fire Sofia, auntie?" Her voice was small, the way it used to be when she had nightmares as a child. I set a cup in front of her. "Your father made a mistake. A big one. He's going to fix it." Bilal appeared next, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Is she coming back?" "I hope so," I said. And I meant it. Amir didn't come down for breakfast. I heard him in the study, on the phone, voice low. I didn't eavesdrop. I didn't need to. By noon, the calls started coming in, not from the aunties this time, but from men, colleagues, friends. Amir Bai said he was wrong about the nanny, said it was a misunderstanding. He looked ashamed, Yar. Never seen him like that, I didn't gloat. I just listened. That afternoon, Amir drove to Sofia's cousin's house in Gulshani Hadid. He took the envelope I'd given her and added more. 3 months' salary, a written apology, a promise to cover any lost wages until she found new work. He came back with red eyes and said she'd cried. Not from anger. From relief. "From being seen," she said to tell you. "She never blamed you," he told me in the kitchen, voice rough. "She knew," I nodded, throat tight. "Good." The children watched from the doorway. Aisha's lip trembled. Bilal looked at his father like he was seeing him for the first time. "Baba," Aisha said, "will you say sorry to her in front of us?" Amir knelt, the way he used to when they were small. "I already did. But I'll say it again. To all of you. I was wrong. I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I hurt this family." Bilal kicked at the floor. "You made Mama sad." "I know," Amir whispered. "I'm trying to make it right. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a start." Sofia came back 3 days later. Not to work, not full-time anyway. She came for tea. I opened the door and she stood there in a simple blue shalwar kameez, her smile tentative. The children ran to her, hugging her legs. She laughed, the sound like water after a drought. We sat in the living room. I poured chai. Amir stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. "Sofia," he said, "I have no right to ask this, but will you come back? The kids need you. We need you." She looked at me. I nodded. "Only if Baji wants it," she said softly. "I do," I said. "But things will be different," she stayed. "Not as a nanny, not really. As a family." She helped when she could, but I insisted on paying her fairly, on giving her days off, on treating her like the sister she'd always been. The community didn't forget, but they moved on. Tongues wagged for a week, then turned to someone else's drama. Amir went to the mosque and spoke publicly, not dramatically, just honestly. "I accused an innocent woman. I was wrong. I asked for forgiveness." Some nodded. Some didn't. That was enough. Zara disappeared. No more messages. No more cafe meetings. Amir changed his number. Deleted the apps. He started coming home early, sitting with the children, helping with homework. He didn't touch me, not yet. I wasn't ready, but he waited. One night, weeks later, I found him in the backyard, sitting under the mango tree. The air smelled of night-blooming jasmine. He looked up when I approached. "I ended it," he said simply. "For good." I told her I was done lying. "Done hurting you." I sat beside him on the swing. The chains creaked. We didn't speak for a long time. "I don't know if I can trust you again," I said finally. "I know," he replied. "I'll earn it." Every day, healing didn't happen in a moment. It came in small things. The way Amir started making chai in the mornings, bringing it to me in bed with a quiet John. The way he asked Sofia's opinion on dinner, not just mine. The way Aisha stopped flinching when he raised his voice. The way Bilal showed him his new drone design and waited, really waited, for praise. I started counseling. Alone at first. Then with Amir, a kind woman in Clifton with gentle eyes and no judgment. We talked about resentment, about temptation, about how love isn't a feeling, it's a choice, renewed every morning. One evening, Sofia and I were in the kitchen, rolling out dough for parathas. The children were laughing in the next room. Amir was helping Bilal with a circuit board, his voice patient. "Baji," Sofia said, flour on her cheek. "You're stronger than you know." I smiled. "We all are." I still catch the faint scent of sandalwood sometimes, the old cologne Amir went back to after he poured the fancy bottle down the drain. It drifts from his collar when he kisses my forehead in the mornings, and I no longer flinch. The mango tree in the backyard has grown a little taller. Its branches brush the swing where Sofia now sits with Aisha, braiding her hair while Bilal flies his newest drone overhead. The house hums again, not with the brittle silence of secrets, but with the steady rhythm of second chances chosen, not granted. Betrayal carves deep. But truth spoken aloud and lived out can cauterize the wound. I learned that revenge is a mirror. It shows you your own face first. Mine was twisted with pain and I almost didn't recognize it. What began as a petty prank nearly cost an innocent woman her dignity and my children their sense of safety. Yet in the ashes of that mistake, we rebuilt something stronger. A marriage that asks for honesty every single day. A home where no one is disposable. A family stitched back together with apologies that still tremble in the air. If you're listening and your heart has been cracked open by someone you trusted, hear this. You are allowed to rage quietly, to protect your peace, to demand repair. But never let the poison you brew for one person spill onto another's life. Justice feels sweetest when it lifts the innocent, not when it buries them. So I leave you with one question. Soft as the evening azan drifting over the rooftops. When someone you love breaks your world, would you choose the sharp edge of revenge? Or the slower, braver path of truth that makes room for healing? Tell me in the comments. Share your story. You are not alone. And if this journey moved you, subscribe for more voices from the heart. Because every family has a shadow, and every shadow deserves light.